Hey everybody, this is Nate, back with another Backcountry beer review. I've been on a long hiatus. You wouldn't know because my videos, they come out after I film them, obviously. But I haven't really been able to do any kind of hiking thanks to all the fire closures in New Mexico, which are, hopefully by the time this video airs, are completely over. Fingers crossed, And so right now I'm actually in Colorado, where it's still legal to go to the national forests. And I'm on top of West Spanish Peak, which is a really cool peak. It's only a 13er, but it's got very impressive prominence. Even though it's only a 13er, it's I think like number 9 or number 11 on the Colorado prominence list, and it's an amazing view. The coolest thing about this peak, I think, is that there are no peaks further east in the United States that are higher up than this peak. So it's still lager summer, which means I'm reviewing only lagers. And on top of that, this is a very special occasion. It is my 50th episode, and I don't really have anything special planned for it. If I did, it would have been ruined by all the New Mexico fires and stuff. And so what I'm gonna do for this review is I'm gonna review not one, but 2 beers and 2 lagers. And the focus of this beer review is actually Texas style Bocks. So the style, Texas style Bock, I don't know if it's like a real style. I think it's just sort of a nice way to say we're ripping off Shiner Bock, which is obviously a very popular beer in Texas. And Bocks, as you may or may not know, are indeed a lager. The first one I'm going to highlight here is by Community Beer Company in Dallas, Texas. And it's there, well, doesn't have a name. It's just Texas style Bock Amber Lager. Back of the can doesn't have much on it. Just says an amber lager with distinctive malt flavor and light hops, first brewed in 14th century Germany. Or a male billy goat or ram. So they kind of, they're kind of highlighting the like folk history behind the Bock style. Bock number 2 is the Juke Bock Texas style Bock by Karbach Brewing Company. And they're out of Houston, Texas. So I actually didn't buy this in Texas. I bought this at Susan's Fine Wine and Spirits in Santa Fe, New Mexico. This is actually a company, I'm not really familiar with Community Beer Company, really. I kind of just found something that was a Bock and bought it, and decided to review it. Karbach, I'm also not familiar with. This is the only beer by theirs that I've had, but I've seen a lot of their beer in the store. I know this is actually one of at least 2 Bocks they make and distribute. The other one being, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like Houston Astros themed. And you might also recognize this company because they make a popular like ranch water type beverage. They are actually owned, I think, Anheuser-Busch. So, some people take offense to that. I really don't care. I actually have quite a bit on the can. It says, it's a chart topper. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in the corner of a honky-tonk or your local dive bar. When the right song plays, strangers become best friends. Great beer does the same thing. Debuting our newest hit single, Karbach Juke Bock, this Texas-style Bock has off-the-charts taste and presses all the right buttons. It's smooth, easy drinking, and a place at any occasion and every type of crowd. It's the solid gold soundtrack to a good time. And there's a lot of Bock puns on this can, I'll tell you that right now. So let's climb down the peak, open these up. The footing was a little sketchy, so I'd much rather drink 2 beers at the base of the peak than at the top. We've made it back to the Cordova campground where we started, and trying these beers, let's give them a taste. First, we're gonna do the Community Beer Company Texas style Bock. This one, it's very full flavored, and I think that speaks to the fact that it's 6% ABV. It's got kind of intense, like brown, burnt, maybe even burnt caramel, creme brulee top notes. It's maybe even got a little bit of fruitiness. I'm thinking maybe like overripe blueberry, just that kind of sweet fruitiness, dark fruit, but still a little bit bright. It's not sweet. I wouldn't call it sweet, but I'd definitely call it off dry. But the high gravity, relatively speaking, definitely makes this one potent, makes it much, very flavorful. I actually don't think I would compare this to Shiner. It's not like I'm some Shiner expert, but to me, I think of Shiner and it's like refreshing. This, granted, it's not like you know, fridge cold right now. I don't know if I'd call it refreshing. This is like, you know, if you blindfolded me, I'd probably think this was like an Oktoberfest style beer because it's just so full flavored. It's got those nice roasted malty notes, and there's maybe even something a little bit going on, like some earthiness with the hops. Now to try the Karbach Jukebox Texas style Bock. I get some very mild fruitiness. I'd kind of compare it to like a very underripe apple, or, you know, sometimes you buy apples and it's just not that sweet, but it's still got that apple flavor. That's kind of what it's like to me. I wouldn't call this a super sweet beer, but it definitely has that like residual sweetness. Kind of the interesting thing about this beer is that I think it's got this like interesting botanical flavor to it that I wouldn't expect from something like well, let's be honest, a Shinerbach ripoff. It's, I'm getting a little bit of lavender, some eucalyptus, some mint. It's very strange, but not bad. And yeah, very unexpected. It's very light. Like it's not like jumping out at you. You kind of got to search for it a little bit, but I'm definitely getting it. The finish is this kind of like straw-like bitterness that, you know, it's nice. It's not too heavy on the finish. It doesn't have like a gross macro lager finish or anything like that. So between the two, you know, this one is, you know, compared to the Juke Bock, the Texas style Bock by Community Beer Company is practically high gravity. I certainly, if I were to taste them blindfolded side by side, I would not think they were the same style of beer. This is much more convincing as like a crowd-friendly beer, but it did surprise me with some of those interesting notes. This, I would not call a crowd-friendly beer, but I would call it a really good beer that a lot of people would enjoy. Just maybe not one that I'd bring to like a tailgate or something and put it, you know, or play beer pong with. But, you know, I think they're both good. They both have their place. This is much more a lawnmower beer. This is much more a beer hall beer, if that makes any sense. So, anyway, cheers and have a backcountry beer for me. It is still lager summer. It is still lager summer.